Hey listeners, Dan Harris here, host of the 10% Happier podcast. Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible Originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Harris or text Harris to 500-500.
The weather is cooling down a bit. The leaves are starting to fall. Yes, it's that time of year again, football season. And we all know the best part of any game day traditions are the ones that involve food. There's nothing like having everyone in your game day crew coming together to bring their best bites and argue over whose family makes the best chili. And while there's no need to mess with the perfection of game day classics, like a freshly grilled Oscar Mayer hot dog topped with Heinz ketchup and mustard, it's always fun to step out of your comfort zone and get creative with your recipes. Because there's nothing more fun than adding to your list of game day traditions, like making a creamy and delectable queso dip with Velveeta cheese that can be eaten with so much more than just chips. Now is the chance for people across the nation to find out whose game day eats reign supreme. It's your turn to show off your tasty game day food traditions. Go to www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to share a photo of your game day food tradition to enter to win $10,000. Once again, that's www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to enter to win $10,000.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Remember back when the Flyers used to play Kate Smith?
Yeah.
Man, that was
pretty cool. Get people pumped up. I mean, John Amarante was similar.
Yeah.
And the new guy, the Rangers have,
Yeah.
John Brancy's, I think he's pretty good too.
I love when they get someone like sometimes in the Super Bowl they want to get the star that sings this wild version of the national. I'd rather get somebody from the military get up there and sing it the way it's intended to be sung.
No.
I mean, they sing it. It's
But
like,
the Super Bowl, they that's all lip sync.
Is it lip sync?
Even Whitney Houston. Yeah. She
Really?
lip-synced it. Oh yeah. And that's a great performance, but she lip synced.
why would they lip sync?
Probably just for the sound quality on TV. But yeah, they lip synced that one. The one in Chicago in '91, the All-Star game was the NHL All-Star game was also
Ooh, that was good. Yeah.
So everybody knows about hockeyfights.com. So I'm just going to go through and we're going to talk about your fights, Tom. See if you can remember any of these.
Very good.
So
Larry Meldick, first one.
the first fight was Larry Belbig.
He's with the Boston Bruins.
How'd you do?
I actually don't remember it. Neither does he. Yeah, I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I don't recall the fight at all.
Because that was your first fight. Then you had Norm Barnes with his beard, right?
Oh, yes, that was at the Garden. He ran. I remember I saw a video of this recently. He ran Anders Hedberg from behind. Now, I was more mad because I was the one that passed Anders to kind of say it was a bad pass.
He gave the FU pass or the buddy pass.
And he ran Anders head first. So I grabbed. It was pretty good spank, and it was good. It was like when I fought, I really wasn't smart at all. I just stand back and throw him and start to And that's what Norm Barnes did too. But that was good. I remember because that was early in my career, first year, I believe. And after Bubba comes by, gives me a little pat in the back, like because you want to get accepted by the old guys.
Sure. But so was Hedberg upset about the hospital pass?
He didn't say anything. No.
And then you fought Brad Smith.
Oh, that was a good one. Brad Smith and I became very good friends after too. And they
Red Wings, right?
At Red Wings, he was with Toronto for a while, but he was with the Red Wings at the time. And I gave it to him pretty good in that one. But he was a tough guy. Like I won that fight, but he's way more fights than I ever was, and he did really well. He's a scout now too, so I would see him on the road all the time as agent and he was a scout.
Let's get him on. Talk about it.
Yeah.
The next one was Al McAdam. Was at the North Stars?
Yeah, he's with the North Stars. I did not know how tough he was. He was picking on Eddie Johnstone. So I stepped in, and I actually had 2 fights that game. It was the only time I had 2 fights in my career.
Oh, the same game?
Yeah.
And then you fought Bobby Smith.
Yeah. So McAdam was tough, but he wasn't that big a guy, but he was really smart. A lot like a Darren Langdon, knowing how to hold on and everything. So I stepped in there thinking I'm the big tough guy and I'm going to spank this little guy around because I didn't know who he was. And he was good.
But then you fought Bobby Smith, he was a big guy, but not really a fighter.
Yeah, not really a fighter. Something happened, and I spanked him pretty good too. I had him down, and he's a big man.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I was thinking. I tried to pick him up. I grabbed him by the back of the collar or the back of his pants. I tried to pick him up and slam him.
Wow.
Barry Beck comes over to me, dying laughing. As I'm skating to the box, he goes, "You tried to body slam him." He was all excited about that.
And then the last fight of your rookie year was Was
I can't remember.
it's Dale Hunter.
Oh, he bit me in the cheek.
Go back. Is that Gardner? Is that in Washington? Where is
No, he was in Quebec City.
Oh, he's with
Yeah, right in front of our bench, something happened. And he wasn't much of a fighter. Now, he was a tough guy, but he really wasn't a fighter that much. So I gave it to him pretty good. And then to follow it up like we were wrestling or whatever, he bites me in the cheek.
He bit you.
Yeah, bit me in the cheek. Yeah.
All right.
That was accepted back then. Yeah.
Next year, you only have 2 fights. You get more of a pacifist. You fight Greg Adams first.
Yeah, that was a good one. So he was with Philly. We had a big scrum. Kenny Linsman was picking on Carol Vadney. And I think they scored on the play too. And then they're at center ice, everybody's wrestling and everything. And by that time, so now Herb Brooks had come in and he really didn't want me fighting that much.
Yeah.
So I hadn't fought much. So Adams, I don't think, he might have been a rookie. So he didn't know if I could fight or not. He's yapping at me. I saw the video of this. So everybody's kind of separating and he's yapping at me. And I finally said, that's it. I need to show this kid what I can do. Knocked him out. Knocked him down with one punch. He got back up again. But that was good.
That was a home fight? Or?
Yeah.
Then you fought Dave Hutchinson.
Dave Hutchinson, I can't remember that one. Who was he with?
I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm just looking. I'm going through your hockey fights.
It's Pittsburgh or something.
It was 82, so maybe it was Pittsburgh.
But
that was your only fight. The only 2 fights that year. The next year, you only had 1 fight.
Who was that?
It was Gary Risling.
Oh, Gary Risling, a good guy. So he was up and down from the minors all the time. And the hotel we stayed in Pittsburgh was right by the rink. That's where they housed the guys that are up and down. So it was after a game one night. He's walking back, and we'd always be yapping each other. And I hate to say this, but he was known as the ugliest guy that ever played in the NHL. And we don't say it to him all, and he wouldn't argue about it anyways. But so we kind of got to know each other. But then he ran. I think it was with the guard. He did something to Ben Beesbrook, so I had to step in and smack him out. But he was a tough little player, though. I laugh about him being ugly, but he was tough.
All right, next year you fight Perry Anderson.
Oh, God, that was bad. I lost that one. I got spanked at that one. He was a guy kind of ran around a lot, and I didn't fight. So I was, I think I was assistant captain, maybe captain at the time. I thought I need to stop this. So I was being cocky as usual. I figured, okay, I'm going to grab this guy and spank around a little bit.
Didn't have it.
I think I may have tripped, but either way, he beat me, and I actually went down. Oh man, that's an awful feeling when you go down. You lose a fight.
Was that at home?
It was at home, but because that's the thing about fighting. It's like not the getting hurt part, but it's the ego part too. Because you get a chance to lose. If you're going to fight, all fighters they lose fights sometimes.
And so you just want to crawl in a hole. Like, what am I going to do with it? What do the teammates say to you? Like, hey,
well, I remember
looking away and shaking their head.
Well, they do come by and they go. They strike on like this, but it's kind of like that. Yeah, right. I get beat, but it's like most players say this. At least you showed up to the fight.
Right.
That's it.
And then your last fight that year was Marty McSorley. You've talked about that one.
Yeah, man. I think I knew he was tough, but I didn't know he was. Obviously, I didn't know he was going to become Marty McSorley. But I did pretty well the first part of it. Like Marty, and he said this himself. He really wasn't a heavy puncher. Like he didn't hurt a lot of people. He would never quit.
But he was wide too. He had wide shoulders.
Yeah. So again, I did well early. But he was one of those fighters, again, not a lot like Darren Langdon, who were kind of second half fighters. Like, so I spanked pretty good early, and then he got me, and the linesman jumped in. But he was, I had him tied up pretty good, so he wasn't going to hurt me. But that was good. That was good.
Right.
But I told the story too, though, that after the worst thing about it after was, again, I give Marty a ton of credit, but he could not play back then.
Right.
He had to fight all the time. So every time we played against him, if nothing was going on, he'd just be going, Laidlaw, let's go. Because he wanted to get in a fight to show that he was going to fight. So finally I said to him, listen, I'm not keeping you up in the league any longer.
Well, you had, that was that year, then 85. You didn't fight at all in 85. Is that when you hurt your spleen?
Yeah, there was. That was a spleen. Yeah.
So then the next year, I think you went down a division, started picking up some real tough guys.
Who?
Mike Bullard.
Oh, I know. Something happened.
Good with Mike Bullard.
I know. When I smoked him, yeah, that was embarrassing because you shouldn't fight guys like that.
Then you fight Claude Loisel.
He could fight. He was tough.
Yeah,
we had a big brawl against the Flyers, and he and I paired off. So no, he was good one. Yeah.
And then you fought John McClain, who was sneaky tough.
I fought John McClain.
Yeah, you did.
Wow. And he had the great one-liners too. I was in LA one time, and he was still in Jersey. He was the captain, and I said to him in different words. I won't use exact words. I used like, "Who did you to get to be captain?
Who did you blow?" Or
yeah, could we say that? Oh, okay. So I said, who'd you blow to get to be captain? Tears me. He says, "Since you blow to still be in the league."
Oh, bingo!
It was one of those ones that good one like that where you just go, you skate away and just nothing much.
Yeah, he zinged you. You got to go. So how'd you do in that fight? Who won?
I can't remember that one. I don't think that would be much of a fight. It was probably wrestling.
And then you fought Big Mo Mantha.
Well, that was in a brawl in Pittsburgh. And that really wasn't much of a fight with him and I. He wasn't much of a fight at all, but we played against each other, so we kind of knew each other.
Right.
So I had him pinned down on the ice, and I said, they're yelling from the Pittsburgh bench, you do better not hit him, better not hit him. And I looked at him, I'm not going to hit you down there.
So he's just wrestling.
Yeah, but what happened was Mario, he was tougher back at that point. He'd gotten to be more competitive as a player. They were after Thomas Sandstrom. So I was able to hold Mo down, and I grabbed Mario by his arms to hold on to him.
Okay.
And so it's kind of, you see the video, it's kind of funny that.
But then you go and you finish the year fighting off Jan Ludwig.
I know, smaller kid, but I didn't start. He came after me in that fight. Yeah, he could fight. He was tough. I remember I didn't know who he was really. So I thought, okay, I'm the big tougher guy than him. So I started pushing him around a little bit, and he came right after me to fight. So
Czech player, Devils, number 29, I think.
Yep,
right?
and actually,
right wing.
Yeah, he was a gritty little guy. He was still a competitive little guy. Yeah.
And then now you get traded to the Kings. So your last 2 fights, you only fought twice. Fought Scott Stevens somehow.
Yeah, how did that happen? We had a brawl going on, and that wasn't much. Yeah, it's one of those deals that we were both older players at the time. We kind of knew each other from he was in Washington, I was at the Rangers. So it wasn't like I'd done something to him or he'd done something to me. So I think it was more us grabbing on.
He's your guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough guy.
Yeah. Actually, all the guys on LA came to me after and said, he's tough, right? I said, yeah.
And he had to kind of be the psycho too, right?
He did. I remember what happened to Hunter, who had bit me. He was in front of the net, and I really wasn't trying to get him back from when he bit me. I was trying to lift the stick up in front of the net. Missed the stick when I put the nose, just destroyed his nose bleeding all over the place.
So Stevens came to the rescue?
I think that's what happened, yeah. But they all knew, like I said, I said, listen, it wasn't my intent to do that to you.
Is he like F.U. Laidlaw? He still got me?
No, he was good about it. He was like, and again, when you played longer like that, you build a reputation, like if you're a dirty player. I didn't have that reputation. So
you earned that.
Yeah.
And then your final fight in your last year was with Mark Hunter.
Wow. Wonder where that was. I can't even remember that one.
Was he
in Montreal at that time? Wow, that's interesting. Wow, I don't remember that one.
That's it. So you had 17 fights for the Rangers, and you had 1 fight for the Kings. Oh, so Stevens was with the Rangers then, I guess.
Stevens was with. I must have been.
I don't know. It says but maybe the stats are wrong. It was probably with the Kings because it was 87.
Yeah.
And you fought 4 times with the Penguins, twice against the Red Wings, twice against the Devils.
Oh.
And your biggest you only have list your rivals, but you only fought guys once. You never had a repeat fight.
That's right.
So your first fight was Larry Elnick.
We've talked about that before, and I really can't remember it. He didn't remember it either. I don't think it'd be much. So that'd probably be the game where I shot the puck in my own net too. So.
That early? Wow, Jesus. So that's your fights. Now, our guest today, Danny Gare, who was a great goal scorer, had a lot of fights, a lot more. I think he had 85 fights.
Oh,
for a little guy,
yeah,
he did well.
We talked about it before too. He was one of those guys that when you looked across at the roster, you had to play against guys. He could score, he could fight. He's a leader, captain.
50 goals twice. A lot of 85 fights in the NHL. That's a lot of fights.
I agree. It's just that you talk about building a character. Like you talk about Danny Gare, everybody's like, "Wow, I love that guy."
Yeah.
Like it wasn't dirty, just a real hard player.
No, he's funny, and people are going to enjoy this interview.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, really good. Good guy. Right. I hate to give you credit, but that was a great get.
Well, there we go. And let's cue the music. Oil Lung, take us out.
No.
Okay, that's you. Oil Lung. Let's play our theme music. Go. Hey, Tom, we got a great show today. We have a 2-time 50-goal scorer, guy who scored 354 goals in the NHL, which is about 325 more than you did. He was captain of the Buffalo Sabres. Today we have Danny Gare on the show.
Oh, one of the toughest little buggers, too. I hated playing against you. How you doing there, brother? Good to see you.
Hey, it's great to be on your show, Tommy. It's been a while. It's funny how when the time goes by, you get, a note from you to go on your podcast. The first thing I said was, there was one tough son of a bitch that I said when I played against you and the old Garden, or in the Gardens it was, and the Rangers. We had a lot of good games, but it's good to see you.
Good to see you, too. That is, men were men back then, right? I've watched some of the stuff we did to each other. I'll tell a great story, and I admire you the ton. Even when you were a player playing against it, I just thought you were, obviously a very talented player, but tough, too, like the team leader and all that. I think you were in Buffalo at the time, maybe in Detroit. And there was a game at the Garden. We went out for warm-ups. You guys did not come out for warm-ups. You had a big team meeting. Mm-hmm. And right away, at the start of the game, we kind of knew each other more through Maury, I think.
Right.
And you knew I could fight a little bit. You fought a lot. And you come right over to me and you wanted to get in a fight because you wanted to get your team going. I said, can't help you tonight. I'm not doing that. That's the kind of player you were, though. You would take on. Yeah, it's good.
It's funny, because I have 4 grandchildren, and my oldest granddaughter, who's a senior this year, she's 18. She, has friends that are hockey players that play hockey, and she says, "Papa," she says, have you ever gone on to hockeyfights.com? And I said, what? I'm no IT guy. I don't know. So she shows me this, hockeyfights.com. And I had over 100 fights, Joe, and I've rated them, blah, blah, blah. And I believe your name was in there.
Oh, was it? Okay. Oh, well, maybe we did go at it.
We might have went at it one time.
Yeah. But seriously, though, in those days, too, there's certain guys that you lined up against. Go, I got to play against him. I think it was a respect thing, but it was also like, oh, man, this is going to be a tough night out here. You were one of those guys for sure. So, where were you born? Where's your hometown?
Hometown's western British Columbia called Nelson.
Oh.
A little town in the Kootenays, and loved growing up there. My dad played hockey there for the senior team, and we were a skating family, Tommy. The girls were figure skaters, a family 6. My brothers played hockey, and it was a great place to grow up. Pat Price was from Nelson. I played minor hockey with Pricey. Greg Adams, also from Nelson. But, yeah, no, it was a great place to grow up. Dad was my mentor. He was the athletic director of the university there at Notre Dame after he quit hockey, got into, working with young kids and started the scholarship program there. And it was great. They had a college team there, and I used to just skate with it, the senior team, go out with the college team, go whenever I could and work out at the gymnasium. He taught me, I had to do this and that in order to get to where I was going, shoot $200-300 a day, blah, blah, blah. But it worked for me, and I loved growing up there. I just got back. I was out there, spent some time every summer there.
So I know you and I know your brother Maury, and the one key thing that you both have is that character, right? That grit and determination. Does that come from your father-in-law?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, Dad was a tough son of a bitch. Yeah, I remember watching him play and getting in fights back then. And senior hockey, it was tough hockey. My younger brother, he was drafted by the Islanders, and his big thing was Dad was always about education, and he started the first athletic scholarship program back in the 60s. My dad, his vision was amazing, and a lot of players that didn't get to go to, maybe pro hockey, so they came and they got paid and got their education at senior and played for the college team there in Nelson, Notre Dame. Dad was always, he wanted me to go to my last year in Calgary. I remember when I left home at 16 to play for the Calgary Centennials, with Scotty Monroe was the coach or the GM there, and we had some good teams. My last year, we used to take correspondence because we were traveling all the time on buses. So the correspondence was, I was 2 courses short of grade 12, and I said to my dad, that summer, I said, Dad, I just want to concentrate on hockey. Just want to concentrate. He said, and if I don't make the, get drafted, I'll go back to school. So long story short, I get drafted by the Sabres, and my brother Maury went to Northern Michigan because, he again, my father was strong on education, and Maury went there and played there 4 years, and then went on to help coach with Rick Comley in 91. He won the NCAA. So, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Did Walt Kyle recruit him?
Walt Kyle, yeah. Good old Walt.
Yeah. Good old Walt now, too. Walt's lost the weight. He's all down skinny and shape and everything now. Got a young daughter.
I saw him this summer at Maury's. He came up and he looks great.
Yeah.
There was guys like, I remember Billy Pye, who played for the Sabres. He was on that team. And Al Hillier. Al Hillier is a kid from Cranbrook who wasn't too far from Nelson. He's assistant coach now, I think, with the Kings. But
was it Jimmy or Al? Was it Jimmy Hiller? Jim Hiller.
Jimmy Hiller, sorry.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, he's still well in the coaching, yeah.
Jimmy Hiller.
Scott.
Yeah, the Kootenays produced some pretty good players.
Yeah. I was going to say that, right? That area where you're from, Dallas Drake's up around that area as well, right?
Dallas, the Murdoch brothers, Stevie Tambellini, Ray Ferraro from Trail. Yeah, a lot of guys. I mean, it's been a good area to, like I said, to raise a family and grow up, and we were very fortunate to do that.
Definitely. So what round were you drafted in by the Sabres?
Well, I was the year underage. That whole year that the WHA came in, I was drafted in the first round by the Winnipeg Jets, and I was in the second round. I was number 29 by the Buffalo Sabres. But there was 15 underage draft picks in the NHL, in the first round. I remember playing with the Centennials, and I had a good year my last year. I broke the record for right wingers, goals, 68, and penalty minutes, 200.
There you go.
But
that's good.
I roomed with a kid named Grant Mulby, who you may know.
Yeah, big guy. Yeah.
Well, so Grant was a 17-year-old,
right.
And I was my last year, and he calls me the night before the draft and wishes me good luck. Well, the next fucking day, I call him up. He gets drafted ahead of me.
That's excellent. Did you ever think of going to Winnipeg?
I did. John Ferguson called me, and John was I grew up watching the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Every Saturday night and hockey night again. And John Ferguson to me was, and my dad loved him too, because he was a tough guy and played the hard game. He was a Westerner, and I believe he was from Vancouver or somewhere out west. But he called me, and it was interesting. He said, "Danny, we're going to match. We want you to come here. We're going to, do some big things." And they'd already signed Bobby Hall, I was like, I was really tempted, really, really tempted. But the thing was that I always wanted to play in the NHL, and Punch Imlach flew out to Calgary to sign me. He made it because it was there was a lot of negotiation going on, and everybody was fighting for whoever they wanted. But Buffalo wasn't a bad pick. So
yeah, no kidding. Isn't it something about like we grew up as a kid watching all these guys on TV, like John Ferguson and everything? Now all of a sudden you're drafted and you're talking to these guys, and they're trying to get you to come play for their team, right?
I had a wonderful trip with him. There was an event company in Toronto that did a fishing trip up near Alaska, and there was it was John Ferguson, myself, Bobby Bond, Rick By, and Dennis Potvin. We went, and it was a great trip. And John Ferguson never came out fishing because he was a horse. He loved the horses in the afternoon, so he did in the and it was a beautiful place. They had it was right out on a barge, and he'd be having a glass of red wine, and so I got in there, and that was the first time I'd ever met him. And he says, "Oh, we would have loved to have you, Danny." Just a real gentleman, and really, really, really honored to meet him. And he did okay in Winnipeg.
Yeah, definitely. So did you turn pro right after you were drafted?
Yes.
Okay, good. And
yeah,
Gilbert Perreault and those guys still playing?
Right. I went to training camp. It was actually Tommy in St. Catharines, Ontario.
That's right.
Time I've ever been down that way, and went into camp with the 100 rookies, like they did back in the day, and made the cut. And remember the first time with the big team like Perreault, Martin, and Robert, and Jim Feld, and Jerry Korab. They had a pretty good team. It was a quick team, a fast team, and we just, my first game, I scored a goal in 18 seconds. I'm like,
oh, did you? Wow.
It's a modern day rookie record. It was crazy. We were playing against the Boston Bruins, and our line, I played with Don Luce and Craig Ramsey, and we were a checking line. And I always felt I could score goals because of junior. But what we did was, we did very well in checking the top lines because they would fly out of the zone and we would stay in and turn the puck over and they get me it. But I remember the first game I was lined up against in the old auditorium. It was Cashman as Hodge, or I think it was Doak on defense and Cheesy in the net. Well, the puck comes back around the boards and into their end. Schoenfeld takes a shot and he makes the save, and then I get the rebound and put it between his legs in 18 seconds.
Very cool. Very cool.
And
I think I might have beat that record, though. My first game was also in Boston Garden. I shot my own net. JD was in net. I was so nervous. I've told this so many times. I was so nervous. I went to shoot it around the back of the net, back to Ray.
They didn't give Tommy the puck, though. Unfortunately.
Yeah. No, God, JD was our goalie in Calgary. What a great man.
Yes. Yeah, that's right, too. Yes. I feel bad for him with the whole...
A little surprised at that. I
Oh, the look he gave me through the mask. You're a rookie player, and JD was one of those guys you wanted to have JD embrace you, right? They want the team. And the look he gave me, I wanted to crawl into a hole. It was the worst feeling.
So the next night, Tom goes out and sucker punches Robert Picard.
Yeah, because we have Freddie Shearer was coaching, and he called myself, Consopolis, the hospital, and told us, listen, you're not playing the first 5 minutes of each game. You're not playing the last 5 minutes. Now, I'm not telling you to fight, but what do you think you can do to help the team? So Picard butt ended me. It really wasn't that bad, but it was right in front of a bench. And I think, listen, if I don't do something about it, I'm not going to make this team. So I suckered him, knocked him out cold.
Well, I've seen that a few times. Back when we played. Who was your coach then?
Well, Freddie was coaching at that time. Freddie, sure.
Hero. Yeah, he was that year, my first year, we went to the finals against the Flyers, Stanley Cup Finals. And
is that the fog and everything?
Yeah, that was
okay.
And I said in my roast, I had Dave Schultz come up to my roast a few years in for charity, and Schultz was great.
Yeah,
and he, because he came to Buffalo at one time when I was a captain. He got traded here, but
that's right.
I remember Schultz. I said the thing that beat us that year was there were two things. One was Bernie Braun was amazing. I mean, the best he ever played, he said. And the second one was Kate Smith. You never won. When she sang.
That's right.
But it was a good series. Yeah.
Good. So you had show him.
No, I was gonna say, Dan, you're not a big guy. You're a really good fighter. Like, what made you a good fighter? Danny, he fought aliens. He fought Stan Jonathan. He fought Ben Wilson. Like, what made you such a good fighter?
Well, I'll tell you this story. I mentioned earlier about my father being my mentor, and we had just won a bantam championship in British Columbia. We traveled around from Nelson to Trail to Kimberley to Quesnel, and finally we ended up in Vancouver at the North Shore Winter Club. And they thought Quesnel was coming in, but we did, and we ended up winning the tournament. And it was the first time ever, and we're grade 8. We get the fire truck ride at the town. And I didn't go up to work out because I used to go up and work out, every other day with Dad, and he. Finally, after 2 weeks of, having fun, I went up and I'm on the bench press, and he goes, "So, son, what do you want to do?" I said, "Excuse me, Dad?" He says, "What do you want to do?" I said, I want to play in the NHL at the National. He says, "Come on upstairs to me." So he went upstairs to his office, and behind, he had a map of Canada. And he said, "Let me tell you something, Danny." He said, "In order for you to make the NHL, there's 3 things you have to do. One is you have to continue to shoot 300-400 pucks a day," which I did underneath our sun deck at home into a net. And second one was, he says, you have to work out and get your upper body and lower body stronger. And the third thing he said is you have to learn how to box.
Oh, wow.
So they had a boxing club there, and speed bags, heavy bags, and that's what I started, learning how to box. And
not many guys did that either, right?
Tommy, nobody. So I did that for 3, 4, or 5 years and he said, this is what he said. "And every time you do this," he says, he takes this yellow pin, he puts it on a map of Canada behind him. "We're going to put it on one town and to beat out a certain individual that's trying to do the same thing you're doing."
Wow.
So the whole setting was there. When I was drafted by the Sabres, that map was full of red, green, blue, yellow, blue, whatever, all the way to Nova Scotia. Wow. So that's what how I became a good fighter, was I could box. And when I got the big guys, like Gillies was nice, the Schultz, they're all big. But what they would do, and I had that bubble helmet, I think you wore it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So when they wanted to hit down on me, I'd just go up like this, kind of, I don't want to say turtle, but they would just hit the top of my head.
Sure.
I'd come up with uppercuts when they were tired, like just start pounding them with uppercuts. The hardest guys to fight were the guys my size, like Jonathan, Howitt, guys like that were tough. They were tough players, but because it was just like cylinders going back and forth.
Oh, like Stan Jonathan. I remember looking at Stan Jonathan because that's like a cinder block there, his head. Like he's punching it. It's like,
his head was like cement.
So Dan, did you purposely wear that Northland helmet, that great Gazoo helmet for that purpose?
Well, that and concussions. It was like I don't think I had a concussion when I played. And With that helmet, I didn't. I mean, it was really protective, and it was a little heavier than other ones, but I liked it. Helped.
Yeah. So when you do all this boxing and get to the National Hockey League, obviously your confidence level where you're getting in fightings is like, I know what I'm doing now, right?
Well, you say to yourself, maybe I belong, in some regard. But I didn't have a problem fighting. I really did, because there were bench clearing brawls in Western Canada. Hell, we had them in New Westminster and the Bruins. Medicine Hat Tigers, the Gas House. I fought all three of them one night in Medicine Hat. I mean, it was like this was when coming to the National Hockey League. It was similar to what I did in junior.
So everybody doesn't remember the Gas House. There's three brothers, all played in the NHL, right?
Kenny, Bobby, and Brad. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they were tough men too. Oh, man.
Yeah. I fought all three of them one night.
One night you did?
In Medicine, they turned the lights off because the brawl was so bad. It was that bad. That's how they stopped it. It was great.
Oh. Well, if people don't remember, this is in Canada. There's the Western Hockey League, there's the Ontario League, and the Quebec League. The Western Hockey League was always known as the toughest guys. Right? It's not like that as much anymore. It's still tougher, but it's changed so much. The brawls, going into Moose Jaw and places like that.
Yes. Yeah, you went into Flint Fawn. They'd throw coal at you. I mean, it was like Swift Current. Tiger Williams was there. I mean. There was a lot of. It was an outlaw league, really. Well, one time, and they joined up with the Canadian, Hockey League. Yeah. So, but it was a good learning. I mean, it really was tough.
Yeah.
To leave home, but also tougher riding the buses. But it was a good, stepping stone for the National Hockey League.
So that was the old Calgary Corral, right?
Right.
Yeah. So now you need a step ladder to get over the boards in this.
Yeah, you did.
And they did cement too. Oh yeah. Oh, I remember my first term pro went in there and they had Kenny Houston, Plinsky, all those guys. It's like the boards were seriously. It was. Oh,
I can tell a story about Calgary. Okay, this is another one. That was when I played junior and I was the captain, and I did we did a lot of things the team did for charity and so forth and so on, like you do with any team. But I had towards the end of the season, I had a PR guy come up to me, Jack Tennant, and said, "Danny, can I talk to you this after practice one day?" I said, "Sure." He says, "Look at the Stony Plain Indian tribe want to make you an honorary Indian chief." And I thought he was joking. I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, No, this is serious. They're season ticket holders, and they like what you do off the ice and on the ice, and they want to make you an honorary Indian chief and honor you night before, whatever game, and then we picked blah, blah. So we played Regina Pats, and 6 of the chiefs came down, Chief Holloway, Chief Lund. They all came down in garb and dress, and we get down to center ice, and we're sitting there, and I'm on my skates, obviously in uniform, and they give me a beautiful, beautiful headdress. Okay, my name was Chief Flying Eagle. So then they gave me, let's start the peace pipe. They start passing it around the circle. Now, I'd never smoked a thing in my life, and I'd taken this peace pipe, and I'm I'm coughing on this. So I go to like the boards, the dress, into the players box, and Mike Rogers was my center iceman.
Huh?
The Rangers, Rogers.
He's Tommy's best man.
He's my best man when I got married. Yeah, first time.
He was my center iceman for 2 years.
Wow.
The best.
Yeah, good man.
I go, Rog, I don't know where the hell I am. I buzzed out of my mind.
Oh,
and he says, "Well, just follow me around for the first 5 minutes. He'll sweat it out, like this."
Oh.
So yeah, that's
Do you still have the headdress?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, that's classic. We gotta see that sometime. Yeah.
You could put on your pretend cowboy hat.
Yeah, I'll put on the cowboy hat. So,
I used to go out to their rodeos, and we did hockey schools for them. They had their own rink. It's outside near Banff, Stony Plain. Yeah, so
beautiful country out there. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one summer, Mike and I played together here in New York. Before I got married, I went out and stayed with him during the Calgary Stampede.
Yes.
Oh man, what a party that was! That was.
That's one of the best.
Is it? It's still going on, right?
Oh yeah, it's over. They just celebrated their 100th anniversary, I believe. Yeah.
I'll tell you, if anybody wants to go on a unique vacation, go for the Calgary Stampede. Calgary is a beautiful city. You can see the Rocky Mountains and everything. Go up into Banff.
Yeah.
And Stampede is they close down all the office buildings and everything. They go to the street, they have cookouts, and they're drinking vodka and orange juice at 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh,
Hey.
yeah.
Hey, I was there one year. Clint Mallard, rode his horse right in the Palliser lobby. Like took the horse. No, actually, it was a policeman's horse because his brother Garth I played with. They had a horse that was standing. They were watching the crowds outside the Palliser Hotel. Clint gets on it and rides it right into the lobby and and then back.
Oh, man. Remember the old St. Louis Hotel?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so we'd been out all night. Went home. Mike says, "Nope, we're going out again." So you're out for breakfast or having cocktails. They think, "Okay, we're going to the St. Louis Hotel. We're going to have some lunch. Then we can go home and take a nap." Well, we're in there doing shots, and when they do a shot, they want to throw it down on the ground, break the glass, and everything like that. It was a wild place. It's a Western, like a real cowboy location. So it's a blast. That was one of the best vacations I had. That's cool. So we were in Buffalo then when Clint got cut. Oh man,
I was doing TV down below, just outside in the old outside where they walked in. You walked in the ramp up there. The TV truck was there, and I saw it, and I ran up, and my God, I go running into the. I go running right into where the Dr. Butch was. It was good. It wasn't good at all. They said if he was at the other end of the rink, instead of the closer to the dressing room side, he would have died. It would have just. But I see Clint quite a bit in the summer. His mom's in Kelowna. He's doing real good, and I'm happy for him. Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, no, it was a scary thing, and he got through it, and he's doing a lot.
We had him on a show, and he was tremendous. Like
he's a great speaker. Yeah.
He talked about the attempted suicide as well, and he was funny, so I felt like it was appropriate to do it.
Oh my God, no! This I guess it is funny, maybe, but
he tried to shoot himself, as you know.
Yeah,
didn't succeed. I said to him,
still couldn't kill himself.
Yeah, I said to him, "You're a bad shot."
No, he's a character.
Yeah. But you're right. He's really done a lot of great things for other people now, all the stuff he does. So,
well, for mental health too, he does a lot for that too. And it's amazing, how a lot of former players, and you hear about the bad things, but he's been a great ambassador in that regard. Yes.
Isn't that true? You don't always hear about the good things that the players are doing, right? You just hear about that's just human nature. It's that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
That's I know we went through it with Barry Beck and Mark Pavlich, where Pav had his problems. And Barry was wearing Hong Kong, so he was kind of out of touch with what was going on in the NHL, and was pretty negative at that time about what other people were not doing. And since then, he's got his own help, like the Rangers, Clint Sather, Adam Graves, and others were fantastic to him when he was in town. So I think Barry saw firsthand that the NHL and individuals do a lot of great things for each other. So okay, so you had 8 years in Buffalo, and then got traded to Detroit.
Yeah, it was a difficult time. That's when my father died of ALS that year.
Oh, man.
He was 52, as I said. It was a real tough time for me. I was getting married because my wife was pregnant. In Christmas time, I got traded 2 weeks before that. But I think once, I got to Detroit too, the season finishing, my daughter came in May, and Mike Ilitch bought the team, and that was the difference for me. He wanted me to be his captain. I was his first captain, and I sat, and they drafted also Steve Yzerman that year, and I sat next to Stevie Y for 4 years. 17 was Gerard Gallant, buddy. I was 18, and Stevie was 19. So we sat, and they had some, we had some good years. A couple of years we made the playoffs, up and down a little bit after that, but then they went on to do what they did, and cups and Ilitch's were the best. Mike Ilitch was the best.
Yeah,
best owner. I mean, the whole family were great. And
so, Danny, going back to the trade from Buffalo, I can somewhat relate to you because I was assistant captain. Trade, like it's kind of like that's your team, right? You were the captain there, and so it makes it even harder because you really invest your heart into that team. you're not just another player. Did that go through you a lot?
Sure. Well, it did. But the interesting part about that too was I led in the 2 years prior to me getting traded. I led the league in scoring with 56. I had 110 goals in those 2 years, 56 and 47, and 200 points total in the 2 years. And I was the captain. I was like, Scotty obviously Scotty Bowman wanted to change up the team and whatever. And I was, the trade was a big trade. It was Foligno, Peterson, McCourt, 7-player deal. So, yeah, it was a bit shocking, but hey, that's life. That's the way it goes.
It is funny. We've talked about guys that get traded all the time. It's always the same story. Like when other guys are getting traded, it's like, okay, you feel bad for them, but life's got to go on. You got to get the practice, got to get the game going. And you get traded, you're like, where's everybody?
Well, you know what the funniest part about all that? After you're with teams that long, 8 years, like you said, Buffalo. You know when it really hit me, Tommy? It was when I was putting my socks on for the game, the red and white socks instead of the blue and gold. I'm not on the Sabres anymore. That was just, I mean, you went to L.A., right? And
oh, it's the same thing. Yeah, we all met for a beer, local place when we got traded. Yeah, and they all left. They had to go home, get ready for the game the next day or whatever. And I'm sitting there like,
he's crying at the beer.
You know what? I won't. I'm not. I would never say this before, but I shed a tear. Yeah, I was.
Sure. Yeah, so did we. Shorty cried at the airport. We was getting interviewed. I mean, Jim Schultfeld was a big part of our team back then, sure. And I've always had great respect for him as a player.
But, right. Yeah. Did you play with Dave Maloney in Buffalo, or did you guys cross paths?
No, Davey was just after me, I believe. After I got traded.
That's right.
But you did play with Dukes and Eddie Mio in Detroit, right?
I did. Yes, I did. Dukes was and Eddie Mio Mayo. I mean, I'll tell you, like Dukes was great. He's in Jacksonville, and I'm here in Tampa. We've crossed paths at different golf tournaments down there. He still looks the same.
Oh, I know. He still thinks he can play too. Yeah,
he still looks the same. I don't know he does.
So the big debate is, we think one of the reasons he's dating Sarah Palin is that they don't have to carry, like they share their hair care products and everything like that, so they don't have to carry their own bag.
Yeah.
He is a good guy. You know what people didn't understand with him, how good of a teammate he was? Like they thought because all the ooh la la Sassoon and Studio 54, but he was a great teammate, really competitive guy.
And it's skate. I played in the Canada Cup with him on the Canadian team in '81. Yeah, he was great. I played with the Rat, Linsman, and Nifty Middleton. Our line was.
Oh, there you go. What was Middleton's nickname?
Oh, it was Nifty, but he was Silky. Well,
Silky too. Yeah, he had great hands.
Oh, so you knew about that one.
Did you know why they called him Silky though?
Just because of his hands. I'm not.
No, we had him on the show, and we forced him to tell the story. It was he was at a strip joint, and what was it, a transvestite strip? So he was talking to this transvestite strip. He started to tell the story at first, and they pulled back. Said, "No, come on, you got to tell us." So he finally told us. He's a good guy too. He was definitely one of those guys too. I hated playing against him. It was like he was lucky all the time, right?
Oh yeah. You know who reminded about the way when he got in the puck inside 20 feet or so, he reminded me of Donnie Murdoch.
Yeah.
They had hands. They knew where to go with it. The shot was okay, but not crazy. But they just had that knack to find the net.
Now, where are you living now? You're in Detroit or Buffalo?
Tampa.
I'm in Tampa right now. I spend my winters down here. I go back and do some work with the Sabres. A few games. I'm going late October, and I have a company down here that you can see. I'm trying to promote here.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Tell us.
It's a synthetic ice company, and I've been doing it for over 10 years, Tommy. And it's something that I got into after my broadcast career. I met a gentleman down here that skates, a gentleman hockey player that was in the sports servicing business, Mike McGraw, and he had this synthetic product from Europe. And then eventually we found the product here with a better glide. It's because it's all about glide. It's kind of similar to ice, because we had synthetic ice back when we played. It was there, but it wasn't great, So this company, Can Ices, has really blossomed. It's great for kids for development in their basement. They can ski 365 days a year. I wish I had it when I was a kid.
No tip. Yeah.
I mean, it's really been helpful for even NHL players like Sidney Crosby has it in the summertime for training. Jonathan Taves, Pavelski, Marchessault, a lot of players. So we're very happy with it. If people want to check it out, they can go to www.can-ice.com.
So again, it's CAN-ICE. So if anybody wants to, that's a great product. That's a great thing for kids, right? So guys think so expensive. That's why bad thing for hockey.
Yeah, and it's the cost and the scarcity of it too. Like in a lot of places. I mean, down here in Tampa, I mean, it's $400 or $500 an hour. To rent a sheet of ice for an hour, and I don't know other places, but it's really something that I'm happy with trying, because I used to shoot pucks and off of like I'd wax a piece of plywood, wax, and then I shove it into a net. So the difference with this is you can skate, you wear your skates, and you can do tight turns, and you have the same mechanics, what I'm saying, as you do on the ice.
That's cool. Very cool. Yeah. So you had 6 years in Detroit. You got traded to Edmonton? Is that where you finished?
No, actually, my contract was up with, and we didn't make the playoffs my last year in Detroit. And Brad Park came in to coach.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Park just didn't work out, and Jimmy D, who was the GM at the time, decided to go in a different direction, which I understand. So I felt that I could still play or still give it another shot. I mean, I'd had issues with my back, which were bothering me, but it seemed to get better. So I said to my wife at the time, I said, I'd really like to give it another shot here. And I said, I'd really like to win a cup. And she said, well, what do you think is going to win a cup, next year? This was in the off season. I said, Edmonton. Going to win it the next 3 or 4 years, trust me.
Right.
So I called up Mike Barnett, who was an old friend of mine.
Yeah, I worked with Mike at IG. Yeah, good guy.
You know Mike. Yeah, Mike actually played hockey in Nelson, went to school, in Notre Dame, and then he went on to do sports pages, IMG and blah, and a great friend. So I called him up. He's up in Edmonton, and I said to him, I asked him how I should go about, maybe ask him to stay there for an opportunity to come to camp or get a contract. And he says, well, Danny, go just call him and see what he's got to say. Glenn's a pretty personable guy. And so I called up Slats and I said, Glenn, Danny Gare here. I'd really like to have an opportunity to help you. Because they had younger guys and they didn't have a lot of veteran guys that I thought with maybe my, experience being around the league for what it was and being a captain. And I thought I could still help out playing well. So he says, what do you want, a contract or a tryout? I said, I'd love a contract.
There you go.
He says, I'll get back to you in a couple of days. So he gets back to me. He said, Daddy, this is what we're going to do. He says, I want you have a tryout. You're welcome to come in, for camp. And I came and I said, okay. And this was in maybe June. So I worked my ass off. I was in the best shape. And I talked to, Barney again. And, I knew Wayne and Mark a little bit, So he put me in the main dressing room. I went in there all by myself until, for the rookie camp. I mean, and I had Joey Moss, I had Barry Stafford, I had Spark.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, Deb. That's pretty cool, right? Like, they show respect for you.
I mean, yeah. And that's what Glenn did. He was that type of guy because he played the game. He understood it. But my roommate over at the Forum Inn was Esa Tikkanen.
Oh, no, you poor guy.
Yeah, you poor guys, that bastard. I and him fought. We battled. We broke lamps. I mean, this guy, he was a nutcase when he fought. I said to Sather, I said, this guy's nuts. If you can just channel his energy to put it on the ice.
That's funny. We were at a game one time before the big trade, Wayne's trade, because Krasniqi was on the ice, and Tikkanen was yapping at me. I couldn't understand a word he's saying. Yeah. Krasniqi looks at me and goes, we don't understand him either. Like, it's hilarious. Oh, that's funny.
He really came around, Esa. But again, so I ended up making the team. I stayed there till first part of March. Sather had that in my contract March 1st. He could let me go, which he did, which I was a little upset about. And he brought in Yaroslav Puzar. But, I mean, when they won the cup, they flew me and my wife in. I had a place down in Sarasota at the time and Willie said they'd like you to be here. So in Philly game, what was it, game 5 or game 6? When Hextall slashed Anderson, they lost that game. And then I said, now what? So I think it was game 7. And then it went back to game 7.
They go to 7. Yep. Yeah.
And they said they want you to come on the plane back to Edmonton. And I said, well, okay. Marianne goes, well, the 2 babies are still with their mom and dad, and we can, a couple of days more. So we go on the plane. I walk on, and here's Glenn and Ann Saders sitting right there in the front. And Glenn goes, Danny. I go, Glenn, how are you? He goes, great to see you. I said, well, I told you I was here to help you win a cup. He said, go back and talk to the boys. He said, go back and talk. So they ended up winning it. I go down and I get pictures with the cup and, hanging out in the dressing room. They wanted me to stay for the parade. I said, no, I'm going to get back. But you know what? About 3 weeks later, Gretz called me and said they'd like to get me a ring,
Oh, awesome. This is a great story.
Yeah. And that's what they did. The players bought me a ring for it.
The players did?
Yeah.
Wow. That, that's an incredible story. That really says a lot about that organization.
And it's something I'll never
forget. Yeah. And people give, let's say, he's got that hard personality publicly, right? Like he's this hard-ass kind of guy, but he's really got a big heart. He does a lot of things for other people, right?
He's done a lot for a lot of players. And he always seemed to take in, who else came that year was Craig McTavish.
Right.
And Craig was in jail for a year for, vehicle homicide in Boston. And he came out of jail and he ended up getting an opportunity from Glenn. He won, how many cups? 4 or 5?
Yeah, that's right. Then he went to New York and won the cup too, yeah?
Right. So, no, I have nothing but good things. Glenn was a real prick when I played against him. He was a little scrapper, but he certainly accomplished a lot.
Well, listen, you know what? It's been an honor to have you on the show.
Well, let's ask a question though first, because Danny's numbers are very similar to Clark Gillies. He's got 2 legal seats.
Here we go.
You got the number retired by the Sabres. What about the Hall of Fame? Do you think about it?
I do a little bit, but not a lot. I think, the criteria, the Hall of Fame maybe has changed a little bit. A lot of it, like you say, Clark, less goals, less points than me, but 4 cups.
4 cups.
That's where I don't fall in. But not everyone gets the opportunity. We went to the Stanley Cup my first year. I had a chance with Edmonton, but I don't know. Like I say, it's a numbers thing is how they look at it. You have to have close to 400 goals. But the thing I looked at too is I was a captain for 10 years of my 13, and I did battle quite a bit, which I don't know if that criteria is.
Well, the character part of it for sure, right?
Yeah, it's you try to be a leader. You try to do what you can do to help the team any way you can, and I'm in 5 Hall of Fames, but I don't know. I just think it's we'll see. I don't know.
Well, you really need to get somebody to campaign for you.
Yeah, you need that. Actually, you do. You're right.
Yeah. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just there's so many guys out there. Yeah, you have to get somebody to get you on the radar.
But there's a group of players we've had on this show.
Yeah,
Danny, Brian Propp, Rick Middleton, Bernie Nichols.
Right.
These guys are all Hall of Famers. Right. So I don't know what the holdup is. No offense to Daniel Alfredson, guys like that, but he gets in the Hall of Fame. These guys are better players.
I think it's really just to get somebody, like the problem Danny's going to have now, been out of the game for so long, to get him back on the radar again. It takes somebody to really push for him, to somebody get in those meetings. Because so they have the committee of people. Yep. My understanding is now somebody will stand up and say, okay, I think Danny Gare needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Here's why he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. And then you're certainly well respected. So,
yeah. But my number's retired, and my brother-in-law Tom Rennie, who married my sister Glenda, and Tommy, he said to me the night my number was retired, because we played the Rangers, and he said, Danny, there's 500 and something in the Hall of Fame. There's only 120 numbers retired or something.
There you go. Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's an honor. So retired in Buffalo, correct?
Yeah.
See, that's an honor right there. Of all the great players, and Buffalo's been a pretty strong organization as far as really good players playing there too.
We've had some good ones, yeah. And I'll never forget, when I got the the banner goes up, and Tom comes over and says, on the ice, congratulations. And this was just before Yarmer comes up to me, and he goes, Danny, on behalf of the New York Ranger organization, we would like to congratulate you on this special evening. And I said, thanks, Yarmer.
That's funny. That's a great invitation by you. Good job. Well, just, my number is retired at Madison Square Garden as well.
It is.
It's just got Brian Leach's name on it. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
I go to speaking engagements sometimes, and I'll get up there and I'll say, well, my number's retired. I introduce myself, tell them a light story. My number's retired. My number's retired at the Garden. Yeah.
They spelled it wrong.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy too. I give it to him pretty good. So events I see him at, he gives it back pretty good too. He's good.
Yeah, Leach is good man.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Hall of Fame thing. That was a good point for you too. So.
I appreciate that. But guys, thanks a lot. Great to see you, Tommy, and good luck with your family and everybody. So thanks for having me on.
Same to you, Danny. You're a great man. Great to have you on.
Thanks, Danny.
Here, guys.
Maybe I'll start singing too. Oh, Canada. That's good, isn't it?
Just lost half our audience.
That's good.
At least.
Oh, listen to that. It's like I'm at maybe Gardens back like 1960 or something like that. Oh, Canada.
Growing up a hockey player and fan, it's a better anthem than the American anthem, no doubt.
It's something about it. Yeah, what is it? It's like something that's like very gets you going. Like it's
great song. But they changed it. They changed from All Thy Sons Command to All of Ours, which is so lame.
Did they? I didn't realize that. Yeah, God, let's start on that. Yeah.
But what a great show. We had a guy who played for Team Canada in the Canada Cup. We had Danny Gare. He was awesome. And what a tough little player.
What a fantastic guy to talk to. But playing against him was like you look at the lineup certain times, you look at guys you got to play against, and you saw that playing against Gare. Oh, it's talented, tough, like never quit, competitor. Man, he's good.
Yeah, and he told us the secret to it. And if you watch people should go back and look at his fights.
Yeah.
He is just pumping guys.
Yeah.
And he said the secret was that great Gazoo helmet he had. That was this gigantic bubble helmet that guys would hurt their hand on it. He'd come up with uppercuts.
What a competitor too, good guy. But what a fun guy too. The stories, he had some times during his career he got traded. Edmonton let him go at the end of his career, but he wasn't bitter. I mean, he didn't like it, but you could tell he wasn't bitter. He's proud to pay. That Can Ice is his product, the artificial ice. Yeah,
he's hanging out with your buddy Espo, playing some golf.
We're trying to get Phil on the show again, but I do caution you. You're gonna have to edit a lot.
No, that's fine. I'll let it go. But he did. Espo put the terms out. He said he wants, what did he say, 2 bottles of vodka?
I thought it was 3.
Oh, 3. Okay, 3 bottles of vodka to come on the show. So we're working on it.
And he had the F-bombs dropping. Danny tell the story.
That's all right. We'll get it.
But
what a great story. Great player.
And I'm glad you did this at the end of the show. You brought up the Hall of Fame, the potential for him. And he definitely should.
He's one of those guys like Nichols and Prop and Middleton. Like, they're just great players, and they just, I don't know why they're overlooked.
They're almost like they don't want to self-promote themselves. And you have to get somebody to promote you. It's almost like you got to go to somebody and say, listen, can you promote me in the Hall of Fame? Which
no one's going to do that.
Well, yeah, like Danny Gare's not going to go to somebody.
No.
Yeah.
And neither is Bernie Nichols, neither is Prop, and neither is Rick Middleton. And all these guys are great players.
Yeah, and like you brought up too, there's the guys like Daniel Alfredson. No disrespect to him a ton, but
he's a very good player.
Yeah, but those guys should be as well. Great show. Love that guy.
Yep. Laddie.
Yeah, we body laddie. All right, Grasshoppers, thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.